A wild adventure indeed, but after escaping the basement, finding the crazy woman in a drug-induced coma, I managed to escape. I found my car outside the creepy house, and yes, I was right that it was where I was being held. Being a drugged-up nutcase, the crazy one didn't shorten the chain so I could get to the machine to break the chain. But my adventure had only just begun. After escaping and making it to my car, thinking I was safe as I drove away, seeing the date on the dash and working out I was in there for only 2 days. It was kind of a relief that it wasn't longer. I saw in my rearview mirror a crazy woman chasing after me. I had escaped, and that's all I need to say on that subject. It was odd, the feeling like I had been on a 2-day bender with a cocktail of drugs. Whatever I was spiked with was not some home-brewed magic potion. I managed to drive into a bustling coastal town a few hours away from the last. This place had a proper hotel, and I went to check in. The looks I got from staff and other guests as I crossed the lobby puzzled me until I came upon a mirror. I looked homeless and destitute. It was only when I pulled my platinum cards out to pay did the stares recant. Once I made it to the room, I knew a hot shower was high on the priority list and good food. I ordered room service and jumped in the shower. As the water cascaded over my back, it felt like I was being washed with razor wire. What the hell happened to me? I checked in the mirror, and it looked like I was whipped with a cat of 9 tails. Deep slices right down the middle of my back. How had I not felt them before this? They looked healed over like old wounds, but they wouldn't have healed that much in 2 days. Something wasn't right. Old injuries healed over, and the feeling only came on as the water hit my skin. Surely it would have hurt as I sat in the car. Then a knock at the door snapped me out of it, and as I opened the door, the crazy woman was standing there with the tray. I froze with fear at the sight of her standing there. A million questions raced through my mind. Her hand raised, and as she brought it down hard across my face, the light faded, and the illusion of a hotel room crumbled. And as the darkness took hold again, I was still in the basement. And the water from the shower was in fact the hosing down I received. Great, so now I am hallucinating. As my mind drifts, I wonder if this might have had anything to do with the airline I own. Back when I had just made some money, I was contacted by an old friend. He used to work near a small airport not far from where we all lived. One of his friends ran a small cargo company out of there. Basically, if you wanted it shipped by air, he would do it. This friend of his was having some trouble with a local so-called gangster, and he asked if I could help in any way. I went to see the man and asked what was going on and who this gangster was. Said he showed up one day and told him he had to fly drugs into the country for him or else. He said he knew where his family lived and everything. Now, this guy was innocent, not in that life, and having your family threatened wasn't nice. His wife used to work at the company as well, but remained at home after the threats towards her and the kids. Basic, intimidating tactics were easy to deal with for me. Just play him at his own game and find out about his family. But when he told me the name of the man who had made such threats, I nearly fell off my chair laughing. This guy was not a gangster. In fact, I would go as far as to say he couldn't even spell it. He was a local wannabe tough guy, who was beat up by literally everyone he tried to fight. Back when I ran security at a few pubs and clubs I had encountered him, I gave him a slap or two. Yet he was out here playing at being a big boy. I wouldn't need to find out who his family was or where they lived, as I already knew. He was due to show up later that day to finalize details of what he wanted. This didn't leave me much time to prepare, so I asked the guy why he set up the air freight company in the first place. Said he always wanted to have his own private airline company. None of the manufacturers would lease him a jet, so he switched to freight as he could afford one of those. I agreed to help him on the condition that he let me be a 50-50 partner in his company. After a little negotiation, he agreed. And as the pretend tough guy approached the door, I stepped out to face him. The look of shock was picture perfect. He wasn't expecting me. I calmly explained that I was a partner here, and that his request was denied. And if any more threats were made, they would have expensive consequences. He knew what that meant, and slipped away back to the sewer he came from. Within a week, I had 3 planes on lease for us, and a bunch of high-rolling clients lining up for flights all over Europe. Not only had I solved one problem, I also made his company what he always wanted. They wouldn't let him have a jet in case it went down, and his insurance wouldn't cover it. But with me backing the investment, they were more relaxed and open to allow it. He was so happy to be running a steady airline business over his air freight one. Sure, I used an opportunity to gain for myself in the process of helping someone out. That's business, as they say. Only now am I questioning the motives of the fool who threatened him. He wouldn't have had the money to buy drugs from growers in South America. So what was his plan with the plane? Maybe he thought it's just all laying around over there that you show up and say you have a way to get it somewhere and they just give it to you. People have made similar assumptions in the past and paid a heavy price for their own freedom after. Or did he have a backer that I knew nothing about who has helped orchestrate this capture to get me out of the way? I was clutching at straws, trying to rationalize why I was in this predicament. I had to face the fact that I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. This crazy woman now had me in the basement chained up, and I'm guessing by the randomness of my thought patterns, I had some sort of concussion. The door creaked open again, and down she came with food for me once again. I was cold and soaking wet after being hosed down. I had to eat to try and regain my strength to get out of this. The cane maker was actually out of reach. It was only in my wild, delirious state that I could reach it. That was until the crazy woman once again came to visit me. She walked right past me, into the chain breaker, and dragged it forwards towards me. It was now in reach, but she placed one of the lower links inside it, and twisted it free from the others. I was technically free from the floor plate, but my hands still tied together. Ideas flowed to me as what to do next. Attack her and run, or see what happens. We're just two of them. As she turned and the light from the stairs caught her face, she didn't look deranged anymore. She looked like the girl I met at the bar. She pulled the chain to move me forwards. I complied, and she released me from the chain. Confused as to what was going on, I didn't run. She didn't say a word, just signed for me to remain quiet and follow her up the stairs. Upon reaching the top, I saw the crazy one passed out in a chair. They were twins. I came home with the good one and ended up at the mercy of the bad one. She led me outside, handed me a note and my car keys, and motioned for me to go. I didn't hesitate at that time. I was about a mile away when I pulled over. I had to slap myself in the face a few times to make sure it was real this time. And it was. I opened the note. It explained that after we met in the bar and headed towards my room, her twin sister attacked us and dragged me away. It had taken her a week to find me and set me free. It was full of apologies and begging not to call the police, as she cares for her twin and blah blah blah. I found my phone in the car. It was dead, but after a few minutes of charge, it came alive. Tones of missed calls and texts as I went missing. Before I opened any of them, I called the police to report what had happened. 3 days of hospital treatment and interviews with the local police about it all, and I was ready to leave. I found a small airport not far away and called for a plane to come get me. I know my legal guys said not to fly, but after that ordeal, it was worth the risk. Still, I got back, and after sorting through everything that had happened while I was gone, I finally got my life back on track. The mystery of the setup for the apartment still bugged me, and it did warrant further investigation, but that's a story for another time.